Welcome to Synced on Air with Angelique Robb, and today my guest is Joe Langton. Welcome, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am doing great. Anyone who's been to our events or has been reading our publication have seen you in some form, but you do a lot of things. So maybe we should just start with, how you started in this business. Just a brief interview. I mean, I don't, we don't have to go back too far in 20 years.
Well, all right. So I'll give the bullet points. So
Yeah.
I got into the business in the most unique kind of backwards way from most people, and the way I got in was I started a snow removal company at the same time I was a union electrician. Going to school for small circuitry and analysis at first, became a union electrician. Did a side job for a guy. He was impressed with my work ethic and said, "Hey, man, you should start helping me run my snow removal company." Did that for a few years. And I quickly realized that I just wanted to be able to do it my own way. And I started Langton Snow Solutions at first. And actually, it's funny, Angelique, looking back, our tagline was "If snow's your problem, we're your solution." Thought it was all catchy,
Awesome.
made all these sweatshirts. And then um, realized quickly that there was a need for the same customers we were plowing snow for to do their landscaping. So
Yeah.
in 2005, I went from snow plowing only to snow and landscaping. Ironically, cool part of the story, Tanner Lindell, who's my general manager now, was my first employee, and he's been promoted within and is now running the ship for me and my brother when
That's
we're not around.
awesome.
So real cool kind of story there that we had
Yeah.
more than the time we have. I could probably do a whole episode on Tanner's rise in the company. Um, but I started building a team, and Angelique, one of the things that makes me so passionate about where I am, and say I got into automation quickly, but we did snow, good profit margin, did the landscaping, and was losing money cutting grass. And at first
Yeah.
I thought it was something to do with our leadership, something to do with us. Quickly realized it's an industry pandemic. We all under our lawn mowing just to get the other verticals, but we can get into that later if you want. You could take a note, I'll dive into that. But saw automation in 2016. So to go from '05 to 16, we had gone from basically nothing, grew the company to roughly between $5 and $6 million. At that point, it went from nothing to about 75 team members full time. And then, in snow season had 150 to 200, depending on the year. So just kind of show the evolution from '05 to 16. 2016, I saw my first robotic lawnmower with Husqvarna at a booth. At the time, Husqvarna was selling their robots for about $3,600 a robot. It was kind of an interesting interaction with one of the people from Husqvarna. I thought it was a vacuum cleaner. He was kind of offended. And but through that quick kind of interaction, him and I kind of started to talk, started to undress the cost a little bit. And what I identified at the time was, to buy that one robot that does an acre and a quarter was going to put the cost per acre of mowing higher than at least I knew Langton Group was doing it.
Yeah.
So
How do you
I
make it work?
basically,
Yeah.
correct. So I figured out, okay, how do I make it work? So, one of the things that's made us different in the space, as you know, Angelique, it's why you invite me to talk at your as a guest at some of your shows and even in your publications is, I looked at automation as, how do I compare it to the cost with people on a machine, right? So
Yeah.
went to Husqvarna, talked about some stuff, found out about their fleet program, and realized, man, I could start to sell to professional landscapers in this fleet program. So you'd think it was as simple as that, Angelique. But then what I realized is a lot of landscaping professionals couldn't do what my brother and I have been doing, which is be able to buy the equipment. They didn't know, some of them don't know their numbers very well, so they didn't even know how much it was per acre for them to mow grass.
Yeah.
So now I've kind of settled into kind of being that person that can help people understand their numbers. I offer a very unique service model where a landscaper can just get a robot through us. I mean, for instance, I'll just plug the fact that like I can get them in an Echo 16-acre machine. And it basically, when all the dust settles per month, it'll be about 25 acres or $25 per acre with that machine.
Mm.
Same thing with Husqvarna Sierra. So that's what we're doing here. Not to get too into the business side of it. I'm trying to basically be the groundskeeper in golf, the landscape professional, all those people's path of least resistance. So yeah, that's me. That kind of gets me caught up, you know?
Well, and I think what is different is making a step change in the industry. And that's what it seems like you've figured out, how automation can make a step change, not just, doing it faster, because doing it faster doesn't always give you good results. It's not always possible. I think in your presentation that you showed at SYNKD Live, it was really interesting what automation can do for a business, in the way, the way that you presented it, how your cost per acre can be so much more manageable.
Yeah, well, Angelique, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, it doesn't make a difference what industry. I mean, even my own podcast, Automating Success, I just had a guest that is doing window cleaning automated, right? And it doesn't make a difference who I talk to, what space is getting automated. At the end of the day, it comes down to a cost per square foot or a cost per acre, right?
Yeah.
All different markets have different labor rates.
Different
But
states have different labor.
correct,
Yeah, yeah,
correct. But what it comes down to is this: there's, especially when you're working with national suppliers, the purchasing managers have a certain cost in their mind for what the cost per acre or square foot it's going to be to maintain those mulch beds, cut that grass, plow that snow. And what's happened is in inflation, and inflation for labor, inflation for machinery, inflation for the vehicles we drive, all those costs have increased. But the purchasing manager, their job is to keep costs down.
yeah.
So in our industry, we're seen as like kind of almost like a necessary evil. I mean, at the end of the day, if these major developers or property managers could just let the grass grow wild, they would. I mean, they don't really care. After the units get built, they see that as an expense. It's on a spreadsheet. It's an expense. So it's an expense they want to fix. So I tell professionals, listen, how can we still provide a level of service that makes our business look the way we want it to look, right? When our truck and trailer pulls up, how can we fit in that crunch, right? At the end of the day, we're getting crunched from two sides. Purchasing managers don't want to spend more money, but everybody else expects us to spend more money. Ford expects us to spend more money. Chevy, labor markets, minimum wages increasing. So automation, it's an inflation buster. It can stop that, and it can offer that level of service the consumer expects from the professional landscaper, while allowing us more time to spend time on the details. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm most passionate about. One of the things that upsets me, and I'm just going to say it how it is. It upsets me because sometimes manufacturers, they don't embrace who I am or what I'm doing for them. I could have been somebody that just said, okay, I got to figure it out. I'm only doing it with me. I'm not going to tell anybody. Instead, I go
Yeah.
to shows like yours. I do shows like this. I talk about it, and there's very little reward for someone like me to do it. But I love our industry. I
Mm.
want our industry to be seen professionally. I get so upset when Angelique, I know I'm venturing off, and you probably were worried I was going to do this here,
No,
but
no.
it's like I mean, I live in a pretty nice subdivision, right, with very wealthy people. Some people are private equity, book managers. Some people are bankers. And when I moved into this subdivision, they were like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a landscaper." And they're like, "You're a landscaper?" And I get so tired of hearing people say that, right? Because
Mm.
I think our industry has some of the most intelligent,
Yes.
hardworking,
Yeah.
diverse group of people in any marketplace, yet none of us are respected. And I
No.
believe I can make our industry more respected by automating it.
Well, and no, I hope that you would bring this up, because it's something that you mentioned, when we had you in our publication. I have it right here, September, October 2022. And you said that. I love this industry. I think it's an undervalued industry. And I think, you know, I think the same thing. Our industry has so much to it, and we have the complications that Mother Nature throws at us. And, you know,
Oh,
on top of
yes.
the things that you're talking about with the pressures of costing, that we're always driven to do things faster, but yet all our costs are increasing year on year. And as you know, you have a rainy season, you're still expected to get the grass cut and keep it cut, you know, and get out there and not have divots in the grass while getting it cut. And, you know, it's a big
Yeah.
challenge to get things done sometimes. And yet our costs are going up and we're being driven to bring it down. And really, if you start lowering your cost to meet clients' expectations, you're in a race to the bottom. So really, to elevate the industry, the only way is to change the game. And, you know, I think it's great that, you know, I had somebody say to me, Joe is giving away all his secrets at your event. Like, why is he doing that? And I was like, well, it it's for the benefit of everyone. It's the benefit of the industry that you're doing this. I mean,
I, I, I mean, so here's the thing. You know, a couple things, and I hope I should have almost taken notes so I make sure I kind of unwrap the few things you said. But so okay, why do I do it? Here's the reality. I right now, some people don't know this, but with certain manufacturers, you know, depending on the manufacturer, AOS and Langton Group, because you know the thing that never gets talked about, even as we talk, I'm wearing my AOS shirt. I've got automating success in the background, but the you know, Langton Group is my proving grounds for automation. We have hundreds and hundreds of
mm,
robots. And when I look at from the start, I mean, there were times when I was probably 20 to 25% of Husqvarna sales. There's times when I'm 40% of Echo Robotic sales. And why would I want to tell people? Well, Angelique, because at the end of the day, it's $100 billion industry. Okay. And I can never be a part. I mean, it's unrealistic to think that I'm going to net all 100 billion, right? So how can I be a part of it the most? Well, by hoping to inspire the industry to
mm,
embrace my desire and passion to help us all change, and then to be recognized as the person that has the last mile figured out, right? So sometimes I
yeah.
get upset when I find out manufacturers are going to sell direct, right? But on the flip side, I have over 50,000 here. You would probably know this better, Angelique. You know, how many people does Synced think are in the landscaping industry, like
Oh,
land companies?
oh goodness. I think I have something on my wall. 600,000 firms.
Okay. And I was going to say 550,000. And in
Okay.
that 600,000 firms, those are just the ones that report. I mean
Yeah.
that doesn't even account for the people that, you know, since there's such a low barrier of entry in our industry, that don't even file taxes.
Yeah. They,
I mean, there
it's
are
a,
still
or a
people,
side hustle or
yeah,
yeah.
there are still people that this is a side hustle for them. They get paid cash, and that's just how it is, right? So let's say, just for conversation, there's 750,000 people. I've managed to grow a fantastic team of people, be a top 30 to 40 in the snow and ice business. And, you know, I don't even know where we are because we don't report to any of the landscaping ones, but I mean, I don't know, we're probably in the 150 and under, right? So that being said, with 700,000 people, I'm still happy.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, when people are like, well, why is he giving this away? Well, because here's what's going to happen. 700,000 people aren't going to adopt automation. I
Yeah.
don't even think 100,000 people will adopt automation in the next decade. Okay. But if I can partner with people, and I'll say it out there, like the Reinhardts, okay, Todd Reinhardt, great guy. You should interview his company. Okay. You should reach out to him. I'll say it right on the podcast. Okay. Great company, equal values to a company like mine. If I can partner with landscape professionals like that, okay, we're all
Yeah.
rising together.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all on our ship, rising together with the same tide. Okay. And we'll be able to start to enjoy our lives more. You brought up environmental pressures and constraints. You know, it's like I've always hated, Angelique, that my construction, design, and build team typically gets to work Monday through Friday. If it rains Monday, they work 4 10-hour days, and then they make up for it and they still get their 40, right? Or
Yeah.
45, whatever it is, right? But my poor people that do maintenance, and we have a lot of maintenance crews, and the way we do it at Langton is it's maintenance is maintenance, construction is construction, irrigation is irrigation. Sometimes those guys are working Saturday and Sunday. Okay.
Constantly.
And
Yeah.
because if it rains 3 days, like roll this through this, if it rains 3 days in a week, well, if we're only working 8-hour days, which everybody in the industry knows you're not, you're working at least 10.
Yeah.
We just lost 30 hours of
Yeah.
operational time. I can't make up 30 hours in 2 days.
Not possible.
So then,
Yeah.
Angelique, what's the next thing that happens? We don't pull the weeds, because then they don't pull the weeds. So it's like, I, as a landscape professional, when I go past an account and I see like a big national account that use the national brand that doesn't really care because they sub it out to 3 different people. But if I see weeds in the bed, it's one of two things. It's been sub to a sub to a sub, and nobody really cares because they just do what they do because they don't care if they lose the book, or it's someone that doesn't have enough people and they're operationally strained, so they neglect the weeding. I don't have to do that. And I'm only 20% automated right now. Actually, every year I say I'm going to be
Okay.
more automated, but we
Yeah.
keep getting more business, right? So
Okay.
what'll happen is it's like if I stop taking new clients today, it'd probably be 40% automated. But the reality of it is
You're
I'm
always growing.
increasing my workload. I have more employees now than when I started automating in 2016, but I have hundreds of robots. So it's something I want to put out there too, to people. If people are listening to your show, Angelique, that maybe are just workers in the industry, the reality of it is I've been able to pay my people more money. My employee retention is high because
That's
the more
amazing.
profitable I become, it's easier to give my people raises. Our company,
Mm,
I'm very proud of the fact we offer health insurance at Langton Group. Okay.
that is
So
great.
so how was I able to do that? Well, profits. It's amazing to me that, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and the thing that everybody always wants to talk about is culture, culture, culture. But I know what breeds great culture? Profit. When
Mm.
companies are
Treating
profiting,
people what they're
correct,
worth. Yeah.
correct. When companies are profiting, they can pay the people what they're worth. They're in nice equipment. They're operating the best of the best, right? And I wouldn't be able to be in that position had I not had people in my past that were willing to operate some real clunkers. I mean, I look back on some of the equipment and the trucks I have now versus what I used to have, and I think of the people that operated that, and I just want to give them hugs, knowing that seriously, knowing that they would go out and work all night in an old Michigan front end loader because me and my brother, we didn't take any capital or private equity. We had to build it. So
Yeah.
one of the things I want to bring up on this is, like, I sometimes hate when I go on LinkedIn and I see people being like, yeah, you could have your type of equipment, but this is our equipment. Sometimes I think to those people, where did you start? Nobody started with brand new Caterpillars, you
Yeah.
know, like they started buying some used stuff, right? So even in automation, Angelique, it's like when I'm talking to people, like, start with what you can start with and become profitable with
Yeah.
that little section, and then just start to build it, because it's a marathon, not a sprint in business. So anyways, I just went way off track, but I this is what I do. I get but I man, I mean, it's like when I come on a show like yours and we only have an hour, I wish we had 10 hours. It's like,
Well, we can do another one. We can do a follow-up. Don't worry. Don't worry.
yeah.
I know.
So
Well, go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, but I mean, here's the thing about it is, like, for me, I I want to be the guy that one day is remembered as the person that was willing to share.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great people in our industry that are part of NELP. I mean, people know. I mean, Frank's been on my podcast. Frank Mariani, has done some great design work, great stuff like that. And when there's awards given in our industry with a certain person in mind, one day when they start giving out an automation award, maybe it'll be the Joe Langton Automation Award, because at the end of the day, I do feel like I am an automation innovator in our
Yeah.
industry right now, and that's what I'm very proud of. So
Well, and I think, sharing and helping people along the journey, it opens people's eyes to what could be seen as very scary. You know, it's a big change possibly when what you know is what you've done for so long. Automation is a step change, but I think, you know, this is what our industry needs to become more professional, to not have, you know, we talk about the health and safety issues of people. I'm in South Louisiana, you know, over 100 degrees, over 100% humidity. You know, who wants to be out there, you know, getting dehydrated and, you know, and pushing a mower when you could have automation doing that. And it actually saves people's, well, it might be too dramatic, but saves their lives, you know, from not overworking in the heat. You know, there's a lot of benefits to that, but it is, you know, just so different than what people are used to. But tell us a little bit about the new partnership with Site One, because that it came out just recently. Let me see the date, May 19th. It just got announced. So how is that going to affect AOS and how you're doing things?
Yeah, so that's an announcement I'm very proud of. So you know, the reason that it's really a strategic partnership. There was no monies exchanged, nothing like that. What it was me realizing we're going to focus on what I know we are great at, which in my opinion is the last mile. And I do want to say, I want to credit Joel Northrup with Deep Lawn for that. Joel's identified that in us from the beginning when we first started to work with Deep Lawn, is the fact that I have identified the last mile, and that last mile is, you know, anybody can set somebody up with a robot, but who's going to keep it running? You know, who's going to know how to deal with the problems of it, and who's going to deal with the architecture of it? You know, my daughter Julia might be one of the best robotic architects in the business, you know, and there will be, like, in my opinion, there could almost be automation architecture like added to college curriculum for
Wow.
landscape degrees, right? Because at the end of the day, we are building an industry, okay? And if I'm going to build an industry, I have to build an industry with people that already have the contact. So Site One Landscape Supply has 30,000 landscapers that are already purchasing seed, fertilizer, and landscape materials. Matter of fact, Langton Group is a customer of Site One. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this was pretty easy. Now, ironically, Site One is actually purchasing my ball management solution for golf. So, you know, people that are
Okay.
listening to your show, you know me as the guy that automates lawns, but I also automate golf, and I automate driving ranges in particular. Something that typically doesn't get talked about. Honestly, it's been pretty nice. I fly under the radar with that. But I have control of the ball management system. So
Okay.
I brought that solution over from the UK, and Site One agreed to distribute it so I could get it in more people's hands. Okay,
Oh,
so that's where it's a strategic partnership. I'm supplying them some of the innovation that we have at AOS, and they are supplying me with a great group of salespeople that have been hesitant to sell automation up until now, but
oh,
now they
okay.
know that they have
You
someone
to
that can
back them
help
up.
them maintain it, you know.
Okay. And
You know, for
troubleshoot it. And I guess it's not just a drop it on your lawn and walk away. It's a little
well,
bit
yeah.
more complicated. Anything
So here,
is.
listen, I'm going to bring up, and I'll bring it. I'll bring up. I'll leave the person's name out of it just to make sure, you know, they're not offended by me bringing this up. But you know, there's a certain person in our industry, and if you're in our industry, you're going to know probably who it is. But it's been like a very fought after customer relationship, right? And they're big. They're a big player in the game. They're going to continue to be a big player in the game. But all the people that they were working with were front end people. They could get them the product, they could work on other things, but the last mile was not their specialty. So they would put this equipment out into these
Marketplace.
people's lawns, the marketplace, and they wouldn't they wouldn't work. They wouldn't mow the parkway. They wouldn't mow the left side of
Mm.
the driveway, right? Well, one of the things that people don't know that Julie and I developed in our app is we have a cable laying tool that, and what it is, it's you put it on the cable layer when you're laying cable, and it'll actually show where all the wires are, and it'll show where the guide wires are. Now, why is that important? Because most robotic issues are not the actual hardware, it's the way that it was installed. And how
Um,
can anybody troubleshoot that if they don't actually see how the system was actually installed? If I can't see a
Oh,
map, I can't begin to start to troubleshoot for you, Angelique. So
okay.
what we did
So then
was
it records, so you have the ability to record all that information from the start.
correct. And then, so what I can do with Site One is the people that partner with us can have access to our app, and then
Okay.
so they can sell that for me, okay? Because me and Julie have this app just with no tool to sell it, and it's very cheap. It's not, it won't be expensive when you actually think about it. It'll pay for itself probably in the first install, because what I was able to do is just by talking on the phone and troubleshooting. Once we had this relationship, I've realized that probably 60% of their problems are as simple as this. And I'll say this, it's as simple as a lot of these manufacturers don't make it easy to area map the robot. And most people don't even know how to area map them. So I can pretty much, if I have the measurements and the details, I can area map it from a laptop for them. And
Oh,
within a day, the
not even
robot's
being
cutting.
there.
Correct.
Okay.
The robot is cutting properly. So the partnership with Site One was us proving to them the things that we could do exceptionally that other people don't even know can be done yet. Um, so
Oh,
that's what we're doing with them, and I believe that it'll change the space as we know it. There will be so many more people that can get the robots in their hands, and it'll start to clean up. Honestly, it'll make the manufacturers manufacture, and it'll let distributors distribute, and it'll let end service providers like AOS provide end service. And I really hope that it'll start to do what I think should happen, and it'll kind of take away the automation ADHD as it's happening with who should we use, what company should we direct set up, whatever. Because at the end of the day, any person that says, yeah, it's a robot, it's good, they've watched too many episodes of Terminator. These robots don't fix themselves. One of the analogies I like to use, Angelique, it's like an automatic dishwasher. I mean, if you load the plate upside down in a dishwasher and you open up the dishwasher and it's full of water, it's not the dishwasher's fault. You loaded it wrong, right? So in automation, if you do the wiring wrong and the robot doesn't work, I see all this stuff online of these things don't work, and I hit it. Well, unfortunately, look in the mirror, because if it doesn't work, you probably did the install wrong. And if you didn't do the install yourself, you hired the wrong installer. They likely
mm.
had the opportunity to use AOS. They just didn't like my price. But if they had used me, it would already be working. So, um, you know, uh, that's kind of
Well,
my shameless plug, but that's
no,
reality,
no, that's fine. Well, it's funny because, I've been in the UK before now. And so having my own landscape business, started 15 years ago. And we were, robotic mowers have existed for a long time, like way before vacuum cleaners. But I find that when I talk to people in the US about a robotic mower, they're like, oh, like a, you know, robotic
The Rumbles.
vacuum cleaner.
They're
And I
looking.
was like, yeah, but
Yeah.
the lawnmowers actually came out way before robotic vacuum cleaners, and that's how experienced the robots are for lawns. I mean, it's been
Well,
in place for a long time, but it's the application and troubleshooting that has been quite a stumbling block, I think, for a lot of people.
yeah. So listen, the American market is so different compared to those.
The
And by the
European.
way, and you get in trouble if you tell the UK European, because they remind you they exited
Well,
from that stuff a long time ago. So let's just say across the pond, right?
across the pond, yeah.
Anybody on the other side of the Atlantic, it's different. But here's what's different about it. They value landscapers like we value electricians and carpenters in the United States. In out there, a landscaping professional is just as professional as an electrician. Okay,
Mm.
so let's look at it like this. I used to be a union electrician. When I left that career, I left for a pay decrease, right? And quite frankly, I think electricians are probably making, if you're a union electrician, you're making 65 bucks an hour now. There's no
Wow,
landscaper making 65 bucks an hour, but here's the reality. It is a craft. You're doing brick
it
pavers, and
is,
you're
yeah.
doing retaining walls, and you're doing irrigation systems, and but it's just not appreciated, right? There's no appreciation to what landscape professionals do only in the United States. You go across the pond, there's only a couple big landscapers, and they charge what they charge. And if you don't like it, you do it yourself. So Why did automation take over so quickly out there, Angelique? Because even at full price, even at $3,600 for that robot, it was half as expensive as their gardener.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, they don't call them landscapers, they call them gardeners. And the gardeners didn't care because they have more work than they know what to do with. Second, out there, small yards, 5,000 to 10,000 square feet. So a robot works perfect.
Yeah.
Every one of these little robots that the professionals in the United States look at are like, yeah, it'll never work. They work perfect out there. So they did it. Now, manufacturers, those European manufacturers come over to the United States, think it's going to be a slam dunk. They try to focus on residential. Well, doesn't work. Why? Because 50% of residential in the United States is actually mowed by a professional landscaper.
Yeah.
And since the cost of the professional landscaper is so cheap versus the cost of the equipment, the consumer says, I'm just going to keep my person.
Yeah.
There's no reason to change. Now, here's what I can tell the industry, and this is why I'm so passionate about it. If we don't wake up, if I can't shake us all out of a coma and wake us up, the manufacturers will take that market. They will take that 50% of people and they will sell direct to them, and you will lose that customer forever. Okay.
Wow.
This
And
is this,
that's a big problem for the industry.
correct. This is why I'm so passionate to share. If I thought we had 15 or 20 years, I would just do it all myself. I'm 44, so I got plenty of time, right? But we don't have time. So what do I am trying to get the landscaping profession to realize? Same thing I got Frank to realize when I talked to Frank Mariani. It's our customer. Why are we going to let somebody else take our customer?
Yeah.
We have the customer, put out the robot, right? Put out the robot, you're good to go. Now, what nobody expected was the level of success Langton Group was going to have doing it in the commercial space with the small robots. But here is the thing. Angelique, the reason you see when you're at GIE and you go to all these shows, and even when you're selling booth space at your shows, probably, okay, people will come with these big batwing mowers, and the mowers have all gotten bigger. And why have they gotten bigger? Because labor rates have gone up. The cost to mow hasn't. So if you can mow more at once, that's great. But anybody that's listening to the show that's a professional landscaper then knows with that comes, does it fit through the gate?
Yeah.
Okay. So how
And
many
it doesn't.
of you as you're how many people as you're listening to this podcast right now say, yep, somebody bid an account, it wasn't me, the people showed up and the zero turn doesn't fit through the gate and we had to push mow the whole down thing. And by the time we push
And
mowed
then
the
you
whole
lose money.
backyard, we lost $100.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to worry about that with the automation. It fits through everything. Second, I don't have any scalping, because the reason yards get scalped is a cutting deck is too big, any high spot that scalps it. So all those scalping complaints go away. If you listen to this show and somebody has called and complained to you because your guys or girls blew grass into a freshly mulched bed, doesn't happen with
Doesn't
automation.
happen. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to your original thing of people saying Joe's giving away all the secrets. Honestly, there are secrets. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do in the landscaping space that I learned from reading a magazine like yours, Angelique. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we are all sharing information for the greater good of our industry.
Yeah.
I just hope when people hear this, they don't hear it as like, oh, that guy, and they hear it more like, oh wow, that's something we really need to take a look at, because that's the reason I talk so much.
Yeah. Well, and your passion shows, and we love that you're so willing to share and that you're doing so many innovative things. Another thing that you're doing that's innovative, we're running out of time, but I wanted to make sure that we did this because these Green Magic homes, you're actually getting your landscapers to build houses too. Give us a little bit of an update on that. That's so cool.
Okay, so here's the thing on that. So first I'll start with, hopefully enough people will think this is cool for my brother to think it's cool, because my brother John just doesn't see the vision on this yet. But I am doing this. Okay. And sorry, John, that I'm calling you out on that, but a lot of people think it's cool. He just doesn't see it, but he hasn't seen the house yet either. So just, in all fairness,
okay.
But so Angelique, when I started to automate, you have to realize, since I was one of the first people, I had a lot of people saying some pretty stupid stupid stuff on social media, sending me message saying, oh, you're going to ruin our industry. You're a
Oh,
loser. You're a
goodness.
nobody. I mean, seriously, I got some of those, right? And what it did was, though, I kind of looked at it, but okay, what is the fear here? What's the fear? The fear is I'm going to take jobs away. So what can I do to not only not get rid of my people, but to let them level up? Now, I go back full circle to the respect factor. We respect we don't respect landscapers. We respect carpenters and electricians and plumbers. Okay, those are the tradespeople that keep our world running. Except I've always known my people can do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, my people that work with us are the most passionate, hardworking people. I mean, like people are attracted to like people. So, like, I know every person at Langton Group is willing to tackle any challenge I have a vision for. So, a few years ago, Angelique, went up to Door County, Wisconsin for my first time. And I see these moss-covered rocks by Bailey's Harbor and in Door County. If you haven't been there, you should definitely go. And I think, man, I need to build a tall hobbit house. For anybody that hasn't met me, I'm 6'4", 280 pounds. I'm a pretty big. And so I Googled tall hobbit houses, and this company comes up out of Mexico. I call them, ask them if they can build me this house. I didn't plan on building it myself, Angelique. I asked them if they can build me this house, and they said they don't have any certified builders. And I have another aha moment. And that aha moment is I will get the rights to build these houses. I will send people from my team down to Mexico and learn how to build these things. And then I will train them to do this so that as I start to get more and more automated, I can start to fill those people into this space and then pay them more money, because building a house is a trade and tradesmen just get paid more money. So
Wow.
we started doing it. Now, here's what has just been so inspiring to me. My general manager was like, man, Joe, you're making these guys drive 3.5 hours. Nobody's going to want to go up there. And I'm like, Tanner, I think our people would go anywhere for me. I know I'm a good leader. I know I've treated them right. I think they will. Well, I've had people upset that I haven't asked them to go yet. Okay. Um, so I mean, seriously, Angelique, the only things we did not do on this house, which we could have done as landscapers, I just didn't have the time. I didn't do the concrete slab, and I didn't do the plumbing. Okay, because you need to be licensed, and I don't have anything to do with that trade. But
Yeah.
everything else we've done. My
Wow.
carpentry has been done by a guy that plows snow for me in the winter. So that's kind of my cheat there, because that wasn't done by the landscapers. But the tile work in the showers done by, and I'll say his name, Carl
Amazing.
Bernal. Actually a new guy I was able to hire that came from the trades. Now he's doing my tile. Enrique, his Mercado has been running a crew with Oscar and Sammy, and
Oh,
so it's
wow.
like, so Angelique, it's like some days I just step back and I look at the stuff we can do together at Langton Group. And
Yes.
I just know all I have to do is keep on being open for the opportunities, taking the opportunities as they're presented to me. Okay. And then learning how to do it myself, because the thing that's important to know about this, and you know this, I've been doing that house. If I'm doing automation with Site One and Reinhardt and Langton Group Monday through Friday, Friday night, I drive up to Door County. I
Yeah.
get there at about 11 o'clock at night. And then I work Saturday and Sunday. And then I leave my guys little notes all over the house, of like little sketches and the things I want them to do. And then take videos of me doing it once. So, like, if anybody follows me, and you should follow me on Instagram, on Joe Langton 73, on TikTok, on Automated Outdoor, Facebook, I'm just Joe Langton, but my companies have those too. But honestly, I post a lot like personally instead of my business site. Marketing people would tell me how bad I am at that, but it's just what's happening. But so now to say through this, there's a window, and I stoned the first window. Okay, I did the first window. Here's what I'm so proud of as a leader. My window sucks. The first one I did is the worst window in the house.
Oh,
My people did such a better job on the windows, but that's okay with me, because I'm a visionary entrepreneur. I'm not a mason, right?
yeah.
Carl and Enrique, I can say if a mason looked at the work they've done, they would bring them into their circle and say, you're a
Oh,
mason.
wow.
So you know, it's really cool for me to see my people grow with me, and I'd actually rather them outgrow, like grow, surpass me when it comes to that stuff. That makes me that's just a rewarding moment. It's every one of those moments is worth $1 million to me, you know. So just seeing what they're doing, then down to, if you see any pictures, and I know we're running short on time, but hopefully people stay with us just long enough. So even down to the rock. So every rock on this house, Angelique, came from the property. And we were delicate even to the point where if a rock had a cedar tree growing in it, we moved the rock with the cedar tree and put it around the house, so
Oh,
that the house
neat.
looks like it's been there forever.
Forever. Yeah.
And then we took the rocks that we found with moss. I didn't want any of the moss on the rocks to die. So we literally separated rocks with moss on them and faced all the rock covered mosses, like the rocks with moss, we strategically faced them north so the moss stays on those rocks.
Stayed. Okay.
Okay. And then the rocks we found without moss, those are the rocks we put on the retaining walls that face south. Now I will say there's a couple of them that just got intermixed. I mean, we had a lot of moss covered rocks, but the reality is that's how cool this project has been. Is it's allowed me to use my spreadsheet business owner mind to crunch the details and figure it out. Oh, and then lastly, talking about building industries, like I say all the time with robotics, I'm an industry builder. Well, with this, Angelique, I'm an industry builder also. And to the point where the reason these houses, nobody's seen one in the United States, is you can't get a mortgage on them. So people see them right now and they're like, Joe, you need to build one of those houses, but you can't get a mortgage on it because there's no comps. There's no
Oh,
comp you can pull because they just don't exist. So it's very strategic. It's important for the listeners to know, just so they understand the type of mind, the person I am business wise. I had to basically say, okay, where can I build it? Well, building it in Illinois won't work. And it won't work because there's no Airbnb market in Illinois, and rental prices are not good in Illinois compared to other parts of the country. So I found an area that has a very high Airbnb market, so that I could basically take and show that I have weekly rentals, so that I could actually make a value for the house. So
okay.
I think within a couple of years of being able to show cash flow on this house, I'll be able to show that that house has $1 million valuation, just like the house next door to me.
Yeah.
Because then and then what I need to do, Angelique, so you know my vision, I need to build at least 3 more of these, always have them on the market. And actually, I'll probably build 10. Okay. And then once I have 10 built, hopefully 3 will sell. And then that's 3 arm's length transactions. And once I have 3 arm's length transactions, there will be a value on one of those buildings. And
Yeah.
once I can get them valued, then away we go.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Great to hear what's coming down the line too. So thanks for again sharing all your secrets. That's us. We've been with Joe Langton today. Thanks for tuning in and look forward to having you on again sometime, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you, Angelique. Anytime.
All right.
All right.